The sound of shattering glass isn't loud. It's a sharp, crunching noise, like stepping on dry leaves in autumn. Only heavier. That was the sound $4,500 made when it hit the stone hearth of my fireplace. My father, Robert, stood over the wreckage, his chest heaving, his face a mask of self-righteous fury. My daughter, Hannah, was screaming. A high, thin sound that cut straight through the sudden silence of the room. Beside her, my 12-year-old nephew, Caleb, stood with the torn packaging of the ProArt tablet at his feet, looking not sorry, but annoyed that his new toy was broken. He had ripped it open minutes ago, claiming he needed it for gaming. And when I demanded he give it back, my father had intervened, not to discipline the thief, but to destroy the evidence. You're selfish. Melissa, he shouted, pointing a shaking finger at me. Selfish for not sharing with family. The screen was spiderwebbed. The casing cracked. The digital pen snapped in two. It lay on the stone, like a dead thing. And in that moment, something inside me didn't break. It solidified. Before I tell you exactly what I did when the police arrived, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from and what time it is for you right now. I want to see how far this story travels. The silence that followed the crash wasn't empty. It was heavy, pressing down on my chest like a physical weight. My daughter, Hannah, had collapsed onto the sofa, her face buried in her hands, her shoulders shaking with silent sobs. My nephew, Caleb, just kicked a piece of the broken screen with the toe of his sneaker, looking bored. And my father, Robert, stood there, panting, waiting for me to apologize, waiting for me to do what I had always done, smooth things over, clean up the mess, and pay for the damage he had caused. He expected me to cry. He expected me to beg for peace. But I didn't cry. For the first time in 38 years, my eyes were perfectly dry. I looked at the man who raised me, and I didn't see a father. I saw a bottomless pit. For years, I had been operating under a delusion, a secret contract I had signed with myself when I was a child. I call it the trap of buying love. I truly believed that if I just gave enough, if I paid enough bills, if I solved enough problems, eventually, I would purchase my way into their hearts. I thought that if I covered their country club membership, they would finally see me as worthy. I thought that if I paid their health insurance premiums every month, they would finally treat me with the same adoration they gave my brother, Jason. I had treated their affection like a vending machine if I just put enough coins in. The love would have to drop out eventually. Looking at the shattered remains of $4,500 worth of technology on my floor, I finally understood the math. The machine was broken. It had always been broken. I wasn't their daughter. I was their sponsor. And they didn't respect me for it. They despised me for it. They saw my generosity not as love, but as a weakness to be exploited. The smashed tablet wasn't just an accident or a fit of rage. It was a message. It said, "You are nothing to us but a resource, and we can break you whenever we want." I took a slow breath, the air tasting metallic. I pulled my phone from my pocket. My hands were steady. I didn't call my brother to mediate. I didn't call my mother to complain. I dialed 3 digits. 911. What is your emergency? I need to report a domestic disturbance and significant destruction of property, I said, my voice sounding like it belonged to a stranger. My father has become violent in my home. Robert's eyes went wide. You wouldn't dare, he hissed. I didn't answer him. I walked past him, stepping over the debris of my daughter's dreams, and sat down at my desk in the corner of the room. I opened my laptop. The screen glowed to life, illuminating the dark room. I logged into the health insurance portal. There they were, listed as dependents Robert and Susan. Cost $1,800 a month. Premium due in 3 days. I didn't hesitate. I didn't feel guilty. I felt like a surgeon cutting out a tumor. I moved the cursor to the edit button. Then I selected Remove Dependent. A warning box popped up. Are you sure this action cannot be undone immediately? I looked at my father, who was now shouting at Caleb to get his shoes. I am sure, I whispered. Click. The screen refreshed. The balance dropped to 0. The tether was cut. Blue lights flashed against the living room walls, turning the destruction into a crime scene. As soon as the 2 uniformed officers stepped through the door, my father underwent a miraculous transformation. The veins in his neck smoothed out. His posture slumped into a non-threatening, elderly fatigue. He wasn't the raging patriarch anymore. He was a confused grandfather dealing with a hysterical daughter. It was a performance worthy of an Academy Award. Officer, I am so sorry you were called out here, he said, his voice trembling just enough to sound frail. It was just a family misunderstanding. My grandson was playing, and things got out of hand. My daughter. She's very emotional. Then my brother, Jason, stormed in through the front door. He didn't look at the shattered equipment. He didn't look at his niece, who was still wiping her eyes. He walked straight to Caleb and hugged him, glaring at me over his son's shoulder. You called the cops on a 12-year-old, Jason spat. Are you insane? Melissa, you're traumatizing him over a toy. It's not a toy, I said, my voice ice cold. It is a professional workstation. It's a screen, Robert laughed. A short, dismissive bark. I'll give you $50 for it. Let's be done with this nonsense. This is what I call the golden child pathology. Watching Jason comfort his son while ignoring the crime was a masterclass in entitlement. Jason was raised to believe the world owes him everything, simply because he exists. He wasn't defending Caleb because he's a good father. He was defending the family hierarchy. In his world, his son's momentary desire to play a game was more important than my daughter's artistic future. To them, my property was public domain, and my boundaries were insults. I turned to the officer. The item destroyed is a Pro Art Studio tablet and workstation. The retail value is $4,500. In this state, destruction of property exceeding $1,000 is not a misunderstanding. It is felony, criminal mischief. The word felony sucked the air out of the room. The officer stopped writing. Jason stopped coddling Caleb. My father's jaw dropped. I want to file a formal report, I said, and I want to press charges. They left in silence, escorted out by the police. But the war had just begun. The next morning, I didn't go to work. I went to the office of a family law attorney named Sarah, a woman known for being a shark in a silk blouse. I laid everything out on her desk, the photos of the smashed tablet, the police report number, and then the bank statements. I want to sue for damages, I told her, but I want to document everything else, too. We pulled the records. For 5 years, I had paid $1,800 a month for their health insurance and country club dues. That was over $100,000. My lawyer whistled low. We are going to draft a demand letter that will make their heads spin, she promised. 2 days later, the second bomb dropped. My mother went to the pharmacy to pick up her monthly prescriptions. When the pharmacist ran her card, it came back, inactive. My phone exploded. My mother left a voicemail that started with sobbing and ended with screaming. How could you? You're killing us. You're leaving us to die. I listened to it once. Then I saved it to a folder marked evidence. I didn't feel guilty. I felt like a general surveying the battlefield, realizing for the first time that I had the bigger guns. The conference room in Sarah's office smelled of lemon polish and expensive coffee. It was a sterile, cold environment. The kind of place where lives are deconstructed into billable hours and court filings. I sat across from Sarah, watching her arrange a new stack of documents on the mahogany table. Her face was grim, lacking the usual shark-like amusement she displayed when we discussed the insurance cancellation. This was different. The air in the room felt heavier, charged with a static electricity that made the hair on my arms stand up. We found something during the forensic audit, Sarah said, her voice low and serious. I pulled your full credit history and cross-referenced it with the joint accounts you thought were closed 10 years ago. Melissa, Look at this. She slid a thick file across the table. I opened it. It was a credit report. But it wasn't mine, at least. It didn't look like mine. There were lines of credit I didn't recognize. A business loan for $20,000. 3 maxed out credit cards, totaling $15,000. All opened in the last 2 years. All referencing an address I hadn't lived at since college, my parents' house. What is this? I asked. Though a sick, cold feeling in my gut told me I already knew. Your father never removed you from the joint account you opened when you were 18. Sarah explained. Technically, your name was still attached. He used that link to leverage your credit score, which is excellent to secure funding for Jason's business ventures. Jason's credit is shot. Melissa. He's been bankrupt for years. Your father has been using your identity to keep your brother's failing company afloat. The room seemed to tilt. For a moment, I couldn't breathe. It wasn't just the smashed tablet. It wasn't just the emotional neglect. It was financial cannibalism. My father had literally been eating away at my financial future to feed his golden child. The successful brother I had spent my life envying was a fraud. Subsidized by my own credit rating. Is this legal? I whispered. No, Sarah said. This is identity theft and wire fraud, federal felonies. This isn't a civil dispute anymore. If we go to the district attorney, your father faces 5 to 10 years in federal prison. That was when it hit me. This wasn't leverage in a family dispute. This was the nuclear option. My father had gambled his freedom on the belief that I would never look too closely or that I'd stay quiet to protect the family name. He bet his life on my submission. $35,000 of debt. Taken out in my name to fund Jason's failures. They hadn't just broken a tablet. They had been breaking my life for years. He stole from me. I said. Yes. Sarah replied. And now you choose. Civil settlement or criminal charges. If we file criminally, he will be arrested. I don't want a trial, I said calmly. I want this over. So we scheduled mediation. When my parents and Jason arrived, they acted annoyed, not afraid. My father offered $500 and demanded an apology until Sarah slid 3 documents across the table: the police report, the photos, and my credit report. The color drained from his face. This is a misunderstanding, he stammered. You had permission to buy groceries when I was 18. I said. You did not have permission to take out $35. 0 inches. Loans in my name at 38. That's identity theft. And it's federal. For the first time, he looked small. What do you want? He whispered. $65,000. I said. To cover the tablet. Legal fees. Therapy for my daughter. And every dollar you stole. Pay it today, or we call the DA. My mother cried. Jason protested. I didn't blink. Sarah slid the settlement forward. It included full payment and a permanent restraining order. No contact with me or my child. Ever. 1 violation. And criminal charges would follow. If I sign this, my father said, shaking, I lose my daughter. You lost your daughter when you chose to victimize her mother. I replied. Now you're just losing your victim. He signed. 3 days later, $65. 000 hit my account. I put most of it into a trust for my daughter's art education. The rest went into rebuilding our home, removing the fireplace where the glass shattered and replacing it with a sunlit reading nook. The house stopped feeling like a crime scene and became a sanctuary. I haven't spoken to them since. They don't miss me, they miss what I provided. Cutting ties wasn't a tragedy. It was a graduation. Family isn't blood. It's peace. It's safety. It's choosing your child over people who hurt her. I blocked my parents. I blocked my brother. The canvas was clean. And for the first time, I held the brush. If you were in my place, would you have taken the settlement or sent him to prison?